Hello guys and welcome back. So in this video we will be adding falling and landing to our player because right now if you move the player up in the air and then start the game, you will notice that the player is falling really slow and also the player is able to walk in the air. Okay, so we don't want that. We want that when the player is in the air, we don't want the player to walk, we just want the player to stay still, and also we want to move the player quickly back to the ground. Okay, so first of all, open up the animation, the male locomotion pack, and in here you will find the falling idle animation and the falling to landing. Okay, there are two landing animations, so you can use whatever you want, but I'm gonna use these first two since they match. Okay, so let's click on player, get back to the base layer. Okay, and what we will do right here is we have this base layer, so we will add our falling landing to another layer. Okay, we just gonna create a new layer. Okay, let's move these up right there. Then first of all add the falling animation, which is this one, so drag and drop it, and then the fall to landing, add this one as well. Let's rename the first one just to falling and rename this one to just landing. Okay, then also go ahead and create an empty state. Okay, move it right here and set this as a default state, and then from falling to landing make a transition, and then from landing make a transition to new state. Then click on parameters and right here create a pool by the name of is interacting. And guys, the reason we created this is interacting pool is because when the player will be falling, okay, then we don't want the player to move or run in the air. Okay, so that's why we created this interacting. So if this is interacting is true, then the player will be able to jump, and if it is false, then in that case only the player will be able to walk. Okay, because if the player is in the air, then this is interacting will be true and it will not allow the player to walk or run. Now after that, open up the animator manager script and right down below this method, let's go ahead and create another method which will be by the name of play target anim. This will require a string and its name will be target anim. Okay, and then it will require a bool which will be by the name of is interacting. Okay, so now right here we will say animator dot set bool. Let's set the is interacting bool to the is interacting bool right here, which is this one. Okay, so if we pass true to this, then the is interacting, which is in the animator, will be set to true, and if we pass false to this, then it will be false. Okay, after this we will say animator dot cross fade. Let's pass the target animation and then pass 0.2f. After this, click on player manager, and on the player manager let's go ahead and create a bool by the name of is interacting. After this, right here we're gonna create a late update method, and in this we're gonna say is interacting equals to animator dot get bool, and then we will get the is interacting bool from the animator. Okay, so if that is true, then the is interacting bool on this script will be true, and if it is false, it will be false as well. Also, make sure that you add a reference to the animator at the top right here, okay? So just type animator, name it as animator, and then right down below animator will be equals to find object of type animator. Actually, it is not an object, it is a component, so we need to type get component animator, okay? After this, on the player movement script, let's go ahead and call the player manager script right here. So we're gonna say player manager, name this as player manager as well. And then right down below, we're gonna say player manager equals to get component player manager. And the reason we created a reference to the player manager because now on the player manager we have this is interacting bool. So if that is interacting bool is true, then we don't want the movement and the rotation of the player. Okay, so we're gonna say player manager dot is interacting. If that is true, then just simply return from here and don't execute the handle movement and handle rotation. Now, after this, if we get back to Unity, right here on this new state, we're going to create a new script by the name of reset bool, create and add. And once it is created, let's double click on it and open it up. Right here at the top, let's create a public string by the name of is interacting bool and create a bool by the name of is interacting status. Okay, then we're gonna uncomment this method which is on start enter. So in here what we're gonna do is we're gonna just simply say animator dot set bool is interacting bool and then pass the is interacting status. Okay, after this get back to the player movement and now let's add the falling and landing method. Okay, but before adding the method we need to declare some variables for it. So first of all create a header for it by the name of falling and landing, then create a float by the name of in-air timer and create another float by the name of leaping velocity. Then the next float will be falling velocity. Then the next one will be raycast height offset. Let's make it 0.5 f. And then we will be needing a reference to the ground layer mask. So let's name this as ground layer. Okay, this is all the variables which we need. Right here in the movement flags create a bool by the name of is grounded. Okay, now if we scroll down to the bottom, let's go ahead and create the method. So let's name this as handle falling and landing. So let's first of all complete the method and then I will explain what is happening in here. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create a variable of type raycast_hit by the name of hit, then a vector3 by the name of raycast_origin, and this will be equals to transform dot position. Okay, then we're going to create a vector3 by the name of target position, and then we're going to say raycast origin dot y equals to raycast origin dot y plus raycast height offset. Okay, then the target position will be equals to transform dot position. After this, we will check that if the player is not not grounded, and also in the future we will say if the player is not jumping. Okay, but for now we don't have any jumping, so we will leave the comment. And now if the player is not grounded, then we want to play the falling animation. Okay, so first of all, right here, check if the player is not interacting. Okay, so we will say player manager dot is interacting is not true. Okay, and if that is the case, then we want to play the falling animation. So now for that, as you know that we have created this play target animation method on the animator manager, to which we provide the animation name and then the is interacting bool. Okay, so we're gonna need this method right here on the player movement now. So at the top, we're gonna say animator manager. Let's name this as animator manager as well, but the a will be small. Then right down below, we're gonna say animator manager equals to get component animator manager. Okay, now in here we will say animator manager dot play target animation. For the animation name, we're gonna pass falling since this is the name of the animation, and for these interacting bool we're gonna pass true. And if you check the animation name right here, falling and landing. Okay, so make sure that you type the exact same name right here. Okay, so now when the player is falling, then we will set the in-air timer to in-air timer plus time dot delta time. Okay, after this we're gonna say player rigid body dot add force. Right here let's pass transform dot forward, multiply that by the leaping velocity. After this, player rigid body dot add force, let's say minus vector3 dot up, multiply that by the falling velocity and multiply that by the in-air timer. Okay, now after this we need to play the landing animation whenever the player touches the ground. Okay, so for that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a sphere around the player feet, and if that sphere touches the ground, then it means the player is on the ground and we will play the landing animation. Okay, so let's first of all create a sphere. So we're gonna say physics dot sphere cast. The area of the sphere will be raycast origin. The radius will be 0.2 f. You can make this as 0.3 or 5 or whatever you want the radius of the sphere to be. Okay, let's move it in the feeds. So we will say minus vector3 dot up, and we will say out hit, whatever it hits we will store it in the hit variable, and for the layer we will pass the ground layer. Okay, and now we will add a if condition. So if we are creating this sphere, then we will check if the player is not grounded, and also if the player is not interacting. If that is the case, then we will play the animation. So we will say animator manager dot play target animation. The animation name is landing, and set it to true. Right after this, we will say vector3. Let's pass the raycast hit point. No, actually, we're gonna create a vector3 by the name of raycast hit point, and this will be equals to the hit dot point. Okay, then we will say target position dot y will be equals to raycast hit point dot y, and in air timer will be equals to 0, and the is grounded will be equals to true. That's it. After this, we're gonna add else condition to this, and in which we're gonna just simply say is grounded equals to false. So just simply save the script, get back right here, and as you know that on the script we are calling the animation by their names now, so we don't have to add this transition now. Okay, this transition line, so just simply delete it. That's it. Now let's click on player and add these values to right here. Okay, so in your timer it will be 0 because it will be updating when the player is falling. Okay, the leaping velocity will be, let's just say, 0.25 or 0.25. The falling velocity will be 60, and for the ground layer we need to provide the ground layer. So we get in here, as you can see, all of these things will be the ground. Okay, and if you notice, they are on the default layer. Okay, so if you click on the player right here, for the ground layer we're gonna provide default. Okay, and make sure that your player is on player layer. Okay, and that is all. Now before testing the game out, one thing we need to do is now to call this method right above the if condition. Okay, and then on the animator click on layer and make sure that your new layer weight is 1. Okay, because if it is not 1, then these animations will get ignored. Okay, and if you check the base layer, its weight is already by default 1, and also make sure that this weight is also 1. And let me make this transition back again. Okay, it works perfectly fine. Leave this as it is for now. And guys, before testing the game out, make sure that you click on this new state, and right here in the reset bool we forgot to add this is interacting bool. Okay, so make sure that you type this exact same name in there. Okay, and when you do that, then here is our player. As you can see, let's play the game, and you will notice that the player will move to the ground, as you can see, and this interacting bool is now false. Okay, let me also lock this cursor to the screen. Okay, for this open up the camera manager script, and right here on the awake at the top type these two lines, cursor dot lock state equals to cursor lock mode dot locked and cursor dot visible equals to false. That's it. Then get back to Unity, back again. Okay, everything is set up. Make sure that you have this transition and you type is interacting in there. Let's play the game. Okay, as you can see, the player is falling and now the player is on the ground. Okay, if we check it right here, okay, as you can see, is interacting is false. Now if we click on scene view, here is the player. You will notice this is interacting gets set to true when the player is in the air. Okay, let's move the player to the air. As you can see, it is true and now it is false. Okay, let's move the player back again, and as you can see, the player lands perfectly fine. Okay, so now the player is also on the ground, as you can see. Okay, everything works perfectly fine. We have the falling and landing animation working perfectly, and in the next video what we're gonna do is we will add jumping to the player. Okay, so see you guys in the next one.